Welcome to an Agent Power Huddle that I think is going to rock your world in 30 minutes or less. That's like the tagline from Domino's Pizza. I realize that, Alex, but can we take that over for this morning? Does that work for you?
I'll be rushing through some things, but I'll give a lot of the meat and potatoes today.
All right, I'm going to set up the context for you. Then I'm going to get the heck out of the way. I'm going to introduce Alex Mayer. Um, we were sitting at an event down in Cabo a couple weeks ago, literally sitting by the side of the pool. And we launched into this conversation where Alex was basically sitting in the cabana and just started talking about everything he'd done when it comes to AI and the LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and how he was getting found to get business by actual clients. And within like minutes, he had this little audience and he was like, dude, you're rocking my world. And I know a lot of people talk about this stuff, not a lot, but a number of trainers, but Alex had such a step-by-step thing. And he only started working on this in December, right?
Yeah.
So just to set the context, you started in December, and how many deals have you tracked, or at least leads, regardless of closings, have you tracked back to being found on these AI platforms so far, just since starting this?
Yeah, so to be fair, my brand is pretty recognizable here, so it's hard to say that I got them specifically from ChatGPT, but I definitely do have, or Gemini or whatever, but I definitely have examples of it. So I can kind of give you like how I discovered it, where I officially started getting leads, where I'm getting it now, and then how high quality these people are. I kind of broke it down into
Yeah, let's jump in then. Let's put that in mind. Those of you listening, Alex had a fairly established local brand. So those of you that already have that, you have a running head start. But I do believe when listening to him, even if you're new or somewhere in the middle, there's ways you can adapt the strategies he's done to really operate. So I'm going to listen in. I'm going to learn
yeah,
just like you guys, and I'll probably ask questions. But I'm going to turn it to you, Alex. Go for it.
course. So to really start, like there are so many different ways that you can approach artificial intelligence and how it is changing our business. What I'm talking about today is AI citations, or what I call GEO, generative engine optimization. So if someone's going into ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, AI mode on Google, and they're searching for best real estate agents in Rochester, Minnesota, for first-time home buyers to sell my home fast, to help me buy and sell at the same time, that your name's going to show up there regularly. Now, it is going to, if you are newer agent, it's going to take a little bit of work, but it's the same thing like if you're going on a listing appointment. What is going to differentiate you from the 20-year veteran, from the large teams, from the moderate sized teams, from the small teams? How is it that you are going to compete, and you need to make sure your information is showing up? I really started figuring this out towards the end of November, what was going on here, and I'll tell you, I've been focusing in on what's going on in my market for about 5 months now since I realized it. And I have not found another single agent in my market that has figured this out yet. So there is an opportunity for people to figure it out. It is easier for people like me who have an established brand and have awards and credentials, but you can certainly do it as well. I have seen agents who have been licensed for less than 2 years show up on some of these things in specific keywords. You just need to figure out how to make it work. So to start, I was aware of AI citations, and people were going on to Google and they were typing in, best real estate agent in Rochester. And the difference with Google is a directory. The average number of words that a consumer is entering into Google is 4 to 7 words, right? With AI, it's 80. And that's because a lot of people are actually speaking to AI. In January, it was released that 55% of people who are using artificial intelligence are actually using voice to text on it to get information across as opposed to typing things out, which was actually a shock to me when I realized that in January because I had been typing everything out. So nowadays I'm having conversations with AI and going through things that way. The AI crawlers, what they're trying to figure out is how people are actually entering information online, and they're trying to speak to them that way and summarizing it. So in November, I had towards the end, it was probably like shortly after Thanksgiving, I had noticed that 3 people told me they found me from ChatGPT, and one person found me from Gemini. And I was like, okay, there's something going on here. I need to see what people are putting into these LLMs to find me on these websites. And I went and I searched it, and I realized that some of the information was inaccurate. It was pulling information and data from my websites and other sources that was almost like 3, 4 years old. And I was like, okay, how do I figure out how do I optimize that? Because I'm a big fan of 5-figure checks. Like I like when people reach out to me and then they hire me as their agent and I get paid down the road. So if I have an opportunity to maximize something and make it more likely that they're going to work with me, I'm going to make sure that I optimize that as best as I can. right? So what I first did is I went into I picked three. I picked ChatGPT because that's the most used. I picked Gemini and I picked AI mode as my main three that I'm going to be focusing on. I did play with Claude, I did play with Perplexity, Copilot, Grok, all of them, but I needed to limit myself to like the three main ones that I'm focusing on, and I figured the rest of the AIs would start pulling from the same information. So the first thing that I did is I went into different platforms and I started searching things. So I'm going to give a quick tutorial on some of the information that I'm seeing today. So if you can see this okay, I'm sharing my screen. I did three searches before I got on the phone here. First one is, best real estate Rochester, Minnesota, who is great at marketing and houses for sale using modern technology. Here in Rochester, I show up number one. Okay. I went over, and that's ChatGPT. Did another one over in Gemini, and I did one who is good with first-time home buyers who are relocating to Rochester, Minnesota. Again, number one. And then I went over and I did one in AI mode. So AI mode, if you've ever entered anything to Google, sometimes AI mode just pulls up this little section over here, and you can see I'm showing up number one again, right? You can actually hit show more and go into dive deeper AI mode and actually gives a little bit more information. So even when people are going into ChatGPT or Gemini or just Google and they're entering in their information, oftentimes that little buzz will show up over that way. So you want to make sure you're consistently showing up on these things. So that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today is how to build up that sort of information to make it really work. So
I'm just going to pause you for one sec, Alex, because by the way, I love how fast you talk because no one needs to listen to this on two times speed. Like this is, and what you just showed on the screen, if you're listening to the audio only version of this podcast later, what he showed on the screen, he's literally number one for that search result on three different of AI platforms, right? And Alex, like this is such a huge opportunity for agents. This is what got me excited. So I'll let you keep going, but I just want to make sure people understand like what you just showed that you did in less than 90 days is a game changer for agents going forward.
and the reality is there's so few agents who have figured this out so far, right? So there is definitely an opportunity for people to optimize this, even if you are not a top producing agent. My biggest competitors are not other independent agents in my market. They're large teams. They're 25-year veterans who have had a lengthy career, and I've been licensed for just under 10 years, right? And it's all about making sure that you're making your information easy for AI crawlers to pull from. Since I first got into business, I've always told agents you need to put yourself in the way for good things to happen, and you just need to consistently make sure that you're doing things daily to make it work. And it can happen fast. I'll break down how I did it a little bit later. But here's how I'm going to give you an example here. So I'm using Gemini here today on a pseudonym email, so it's not directly attached to me, so it's not going to pull up information. I'm going to hit the microphone here, and I'm actually going to talk to it. So I'm going to give you an example of what someone might be putting into Rochester when they're actually searching for properties. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say, let me delete this out quick. It started taking my information already before I was even ready for it. Let me refresh. Maybe that'll do it. Okay, so I'm hitting the microphone mode. I'm hitting allow. I am a first-time home buyer, and I'm looking to purchase a home in Rochester, Minnesota. I just matched at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and I need an agent who can explain things to me in an easy-to-understand way from financing, physicians loans, who's going to take the time to explain things to me and work with me directly. Who are the top agents in Rochester, Minnesota, who I should be talking to help me out with that process? Now, I hit search on that, and I'm doing this in real time. So, I always tell people it's going to show up 70% of the time I'm first, but it's not always going to be that case, right? So again, in this situation, showed up number one again, right? So what you're actually going to be doing is you're actually going to be going through these things, and if you're doing it on like ChatGPT, you're doing the same thing. Top agents, Rochester, MN for first-time home buyers. It's actually going to pull up in the bottom right where you can actually hit sources. So that is where I started focusing my first attention. I realized, oh, they're pulling from some of these third-party sources that I had really never even heard of or I haven't used in years. I mostly got my reviews put onto Google. Again, shows up number one on ChatGPT. But you see how it's where it's pulling from. It's pulling from Reddit. It's pulling from realestateagents.com. It's pulling from other websites, Zillow, Reddit again. All these different things you need to figure out how do I get onto those platforms. Better Homes and Garden, I can't get on there, but there are certain ones you can. You see at the bottom, it says sources. Over on the right here, it pulls up all the places that they're pulling that information from. Expertise.com, ratemyagent.com, So Tell Us, Fast Expert, Homes.com, Realtor. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is you don't need to actually be invested in all these different platforms. You just need to make sure your information is consistent on all of those platforms. So there were like LinkedIn, Yelp, Agent Pronto, Clever Agent, Zillow, Realtor, Homes.com. What I did is I made sure that I had a 120 to 150 word bio, and I made sure that that bio was consistent across every single platform that I had out there. And the reason why that's important is if you make sure that information is out there and available to people, and you're making it available to the AI crawlers, because you aren't just talking to consumers nowadays. You are talking to the AI crawlers, and you want them to pull information from your website. And again, you need to put yourself in the way for good things to happen. So make it easy for the AI crawlers to cite you. Go ahead, Jesse.
I want to clarify some of the language because again, I'm just going to jump in occasionally. You said the word platform, and we've used that word in different ways. We have the AI platforms, and now though you're talking about a 120 character bio that's consistent across the source platforms, the
Correct.
platforms that the AI crawlers are pulling from, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
And you need to have it literally everywhere. It needs to be the same on Zillow, on Realtor, on Homes, on Yelp, on LinkedIn, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, your YouTube channel. Anytime you have an article done, anytime you're on a podcast, you're on an interview, you ask them to put these things in here. So I'm going to show you what my bio looks like right now, and I'm consistently changing these things. Now, I do want people to understand that done is better than perfect. Don't wait to get this perfect. Just start. Okay, start moving in the right direction. When I figured this out in November, what I did is in December, I created a whole campaign for myself where I was going to dedicate 100 hours to figuring out how these AI crawlers are working and making sure that I'm actually implementing on it. And I made sure that I balanced that between education and implementation. All right. Don't wait till you got it perfect. If you wait until you got it perfect, someone's going to figure out and they're going to beat you. Just start in the right direction. So what I'm showing here is my bio, right? And it's very easy, right? Alex Mayer is a full-time real estate agent in Rochester, Minnesota. He's a four-time winner of Best Real Estate Agent in Rochester with 300 five-star reviews. Core values are education, communication, responsiveness. His promise, you know what to expect, how to operate, what needs to be done to be successful in Rochester, Minnesota real estate market. And he specializes in first-time home buyers, Mayo Clinic and other relocation buyers, and Rochester MN sellers, including move up, downsizing, and estate sales. And I have that on every different platform. Now, there are a few changes that I'm adding currently, right? He's a direct representation agent. Reason why I like that is my biggest competitors are large teams. And they're still likely, any consumers likely to work with that person. So you need to figure out how to differentiate yourself from those competitors who are doing things. Another thing I would like to enter in here more is my dogs are on all my branding, Atlas and Kaya. If you've followed me for a while, they're everywhere, right? I also am really well known for my digital marketing strategy. So there are some changes I can make here. Again, done is better than perfect, right? Get it done, upload it to every single platform, right? Making sure that your bio is consistent across platforms and you keep it under 120, 150 words. And some platforms will make it so you have to have less, some will allow more. You got to make your own judgment on that and make some decisions there. But if you do one thing out of everything I'm talking about here today, make sure that it is that you get a consistent bio on all of your platforms, right? Because these AI crawlers are going out there, and it's only going to take, if you look at some of these um, the templates that I went out there and I searched on earlier, like they are literally only specializing, they're only showing 2 or 3 lines of information on my competitors and myself, right? And that's consistent across all of these different platforms. You got 1 to 2 lines that they're summarizing information. So you need to make sure that you make it easy for the crawlers to get the information that you want them to have. Okay. Bio, number one. If you do nothing else, let it be that. Number two, getting reviews. And not just getting reviews on Google or Zillow or Realtor.com. What I did is I have a list of 150 of my alumni clients who have refer me business or A plus clients. I know exactly who they are. They get gifts from me 3, 4 times a year. What I did is I figured out who my top 30 were, and I sent an email out to all of those 30. I called a good portion of them. I was like, hey, you wrote this amazing review for me, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago. I was wondering if you would just copy it. You would log into Zillow, you would log into Realtor.com, and I know it's weird, but if you could actually go into the Yelp and put it in there too, or Fast Expert or Experienced Agent, you could just post it on these different platforms. It would mean a lot to me, especially in the changes with the way artificial intelligence is citing agents nowadays, is to make sure they're showing up on multiple platforms. And I realized that by doing the research on who my competitors were, how they were showing up in reviews that way. I'm also really big on collecting reviews. I've got over 300 five-star reviews. And I do a little bit of coaching on that. That's another podcast, but I get a lot of reviews on, and I give them key phrases and words I want them to enter in that. But you need to have your reviews on everything, everywhere, all the time. And they need to be consistent. What the AI crawlers are looking for is expertise, experience, authority, and trust. So you need to figure out how it is you can hit those four things when you're doing those citations, right? So number one is your bio and getting it on every platform. Best way you can figure that out, go into your market, enter in the same questions that consumers are going in there, and then go ahead and figure out exactly where those sources are and search that on every LLM you can find, because just because this one's using Reddit, this one's using YouTube, this one's using Yelp, doesn't mean the other ones aren't using something different. And this is changing, right? When I first started figuring this out in November, there were 2 YouTube videos in the last 4 months from real estate agents who were talking about this. So this is brand new stuff. I had to go and listen to like large companies and how they were doing things, and I had to figure out how to implement that myself. Right? Again, does better and perfect. Just start moving forward. Don't spend too much time trying to figure out all of it. Just do the work and pay attention and do the research on what your competition is doing. Right? One little brick every day is going to build the foundation. That's what you got to focus on. Okay. So number one, bio. Number two, reviews. And number three is actually going to be creating articles or posts on your business, on your personal website. You should have a website. I strongly recommend having a website. My website, I think, was the reason why I was getting a lot of citations in the beginning before I even really started figuring this out. But you need to go through there. You need to make sure things are consistent there. So I'm actually going to share what a typical article would look like on one of my websites, just so you can see. And then I'll give you some examples as to what sort of phrases or articles you should be creating. All right. So this last Sunday, I actually created 10 articles inside of 90 minutes, and I actually scheduled them out over the course of 10 days to make sure they get released. The beautiful thing about these things is you can use AI to create the articles for you. And the more that the AI actually figures out the way you think and the way that your business is run, the easier it is to create this content. Right. So I'm actually going to share one that I did this weekend with you. If I can make sure, I got so many different.
While you're pulling this up, do you guys like this so far? Those of you here live, raise your hand. Like, isn't this like I told him he got to go fast because it only has 30 minutes, so we're purposely going fast. We'll answer questions later. Maybe we'll bring him. Like, I just wanted to keep rolling. All right, keep going, Alex.
So this is an article that I recently wrote, and I'll try to show you a few other ones, and I'll share like a list of some that I did. And I want to be clear, like a lot of the information I pulled here, I did have some other really great real estate agents. Phil Strieger has a great thing in the AI Accelerator program through EXP that you can watch. And Mike Sherrard also had a good one, and I got a lot of the stuff from there. So here is a post that is already released right now. And I actually had asked AI over the weekend, what are 10 things that buyers and sellers are entering into AI when when they're trying to figure out information on Rochester. So here it says in 2026, how much do homes cost in Rochester, Minnesota? By Alex Mayer, local realtor. I always like having my name in there. I oftentimes like having the city in there, and I want to make it sure that they understand I'm a realtor or a real estate agent. Because if people are going in, how much does it cost to live in Rochester, Minnesota? What the AI crawler is going to do is going to answer that question, and what's going to use is available information that's already out there. And if it uses this article right here, and then later on, like, well, who's a good agent who can explain that to me? Well, there's a pattern there. AI's already been like, oh, I referenced this Alex Mayer before. I should probably go back and use his information, right? And I always make sure it's a little bit different. But again, 1 to 2 sentences, short little H2 headline, 2 sentences, short little headline, two to 3 sentences, all the way over. I have a little testimonial I put in here, right? A client testimonial. And then I have that little about page at the bottom, that short 150 word or less bio that I put in there. right? Those are the different articles that I'm creating. I'll show you another one that I actually ran a while back. So top reasons to choose articles are also really good too. Top reasons to choose Alex Mayer if you want an available top producing agent. I created that article because a lot of teams like to say they're more available than I am. You are not more available than me, right? I don't hand you off to other agents. I have an attraction-based marketing strategy. I'm actually much more available because I have back-end support, right? You're still likely to be working with another independent agent. So I'm going to actually jump out of this quick, and I'm going to show you another. I do apologize for the people who are watching this or just listening to this, not doing else. Here are some of the scheduled posts that I've created, right? And you can actually have AI create a lot of these things, and it gets smarter as you give it information. And you're better off actually, again, speaking to AI versus typing it out. You'll actually find out it's faster, right? Tell it what you wanted to see. Say, you got to make some edits. So, top reasons to choose for new construction representation. Best negotiator, Rochester, Minnesota. Top reasons to choose for buying and sell Alex Mayer in Rochester, Minnesota. I removed my name with this, right? A lot of different things that you can actually enter into this, right? Making sure that you are creating articles on these things and just posting those on your website. Again, are consumers going to be reading these things? Probably not, but the AI crawlers are. And they're pulling that information and they're putting that information in front of the consumers. That is where you need to be putting your energy right now, is making sure that the AI crawlers are citing your information so that you're showing up in front of the right people. Now, to give you an example of some of the results that I'm getting from this, I have got people sending me, this is a resident matching at Mayo Clinic here. These are people who don't really know anyone here in Rochester. They went on to AI and they're giving me thorough information exactly what they're doing here in Rochester. I have a meeting with this person here this Friday, right? I'm getting, in the last week alone, I've had 5 people reach out to me. They've told me they found me from AI. It is definitely something that is working, right? These are high intent buyers and sellers. People go on Google, they're high intent, but Google's a directory. With artificial intelligence, they're asking specific information. I got plenty of examples of this too. I can show you a dozen different examples of different ones like this showing up at different times, right? I don't know where that one went. This one here, Chris Gerber, she's selling, right? I got a whole bunch of examples of those things showing up. And these are people who are real serious about actually finding a good agent online. I believe one of the stats I heard is they're 4.4 times more intentional if they're finding you from AI, right? And I've had people go on there like you were the first person that showed up. I just called you, right? They're letting AI do the research for you, right? And if you make sure that you're creating consistent information, it's going to make it so that you are showing up regularly. That's ultimately the goal there, right? I want to make sure you go ahead, Jesse, if
Guys,
you
I
have.
just had a quick question because this is clarification. So I've got your website pulled up in another monitor. I actually ran a perplexity search just to test, by the way, even though you're not focused on it. And you are the top individual agent to consider. By the way, number one for buyer, first time buyer relocating to Rochester. But when you showed the blogs you wrote a minute ago, this is referencing your Rochester area homes by Alex, which that looks like when I Google you, that's kind of your main site. Are you putting the blogs on a different site? Because I saw a different URL at the top of that other one.
That one, so I have multiple websites. I got a Lofty website. I got a my personal website is Rochester Area Homes by Alex. I got a Commissions Inc. website. I
Okay.
just it's consistent, but the Rochester Area Homes by Alex is the main website
Okay.
where most of this information is coming from.
Where are you putting most of your blogs though? Which side of the blog?
The Rochester Area Homes by Alex
Okay.
website,
Got
and I use Carrot, carrot.com. I believe his name's Trevor Marnock. Actually, what was beautiful about it is in December he was one of the very first website people that was actually talking about AI citations, and it
Wow.
was like I already had an account with them for like 6 years. I was like, just made me feel like I was in a much better space already.
Yep.
Did hire them in December to make they're redoing my website. It should be up inside of like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and they're going to
Yep.
merge a lot of what I currently have over to it. But I wanted them to make sure to create different things for first time home buyers, relocating to Rochester, sell my home fast, buy and sell at the same time, estate sales, inheritances, power of attorneys, different locations, because you got your homepage and your about page are the two most important pages on your website. But with these AI crawlers, if I had multiple different pages, not just posts like I have been doing, it's going to make it so that stuff shows up even more. So I'm optimizing
Yeah.
for that actively.
Yeah, I think, and I know I'm getting a little nerdy. I'll just share this for a minute as I'm looking at this. So when I go to your quote unquote main website, like that reason I was asking, I couldn't even find the blog at the top. I had to scroll down and look at the bottom and like, oh, here's a link to the blog down here. I click on it. This is not so much for consumers. This is truly you're creating content for the AI crawlers. If
Correct.
any human being happens to read it, so be it. But this is all like, this is the modern version of SEO optimization and backlinks and things like that, if you know those technical terms. Right, Alex?
Yeah, yeah, and I tell you, SEO still works, but I call it GEO. Some people call it AI, Ask Engine Optimization, AI SEO, AI EIO. I don't care what you call it, but I know it's working, and I need to know that I need to show up in those spaces.
I like
If
AI,
you're
AI, EIO. All right, Anjanette's got a question in the chat box. She said, "Did you say you are doing just blogs or matching blog posts with posting on social, same topic on both?"
So I've just been doing blogs, but that might be worth doing. One thing that I also did is because I see a lot of these platforms are actually pulling from Reddit. Is I had my top 10 that clients that I've worked with in the past. It's like, hey, if you could go into Reddit and search in people who are looking for realtors and just make a quick comment on there on a few different blog posts, that's actually good too. I have noticed that AI mode on Google actually does pull a lot from my personal Facebook page and Instagram. So I've been making sure that I'm consistent with those things too, but mostly just the blog posts. And I don't want you to get too technical on these things. You just need to start getting those things done. Okay, I am running low on time, and I want to make sure I cover just two more
Do it.
things
Hit it.
before I get out of there, and then I'll kind of give some final thoughts. But um, not only do you need to have your bio and making sure you're having reviews everywhere, and then creating articles and optimizing your personal website for those things, you also need to have local and national recognition. And I know that seems really scary, right? But you need to figure out how is it that I can get the local news sources in Rochester or your market to start mentioning me, right, in their online content, because they're also looking for authorities and people in that area. And if you're showing up consistently in other third-party platforms, news sources, it's going to source you more. That's why, Reddit, YouTube, things like that are important. But if you get in touch with your news station, your local newspaper, even if very few people use it, they're getting that information. I hired a PR firm called Key Crew, and about once a month they sit down with me for 30 minutes and they do an interview with me via Zoom, and then they take that interview and then they create like 3 to 4 different posts that they sell to different third-party entities around the country that start posting that information so that it makes it so that these other agents who have national recognition, I'm showing up just as consistently as they are, right? So what you're building with AI crawlers, it's an ecosystem. It's not just going to be this one thing. You need to make sure you're showing up in all of the spaces so that when the crawlers are out there, it's actually going to find. It's called Key Crew, Amy, just so you have it. Key Crew. There's a few other ones out there as well. It's just important to make sure that you're showing up there regularly, making sure that you're putting your blog posts or your bio inside of those YouTube channels, podcasts, anything that it is. You can make sure those things are kind of coming together. So the crawlers are going everywhere, and you just need to, again, to make it easy for them to find you, put yourself in the way for good things to happen. And
Really
you
cool.
can start even if you're brand new, just like get some credentials, put them in your bio, make it so that if someone only had 120 words to get your information out, like you should know your elevator pitch. You should know what your differentiation is.
But if you're brand new, you're going to lean on someone else's experience or your brokerage or right, like you're an agent with EXP, you're an icon. And like there's things you can do when you're new, or maybe you're part of a team. Like until you build your own reviews and your own things, you gotta borrow credibility until you establish it. I just dropped the Key Crew link in the chat box. I only have 4 of the 5 things written down. I know we're at the bottom of the hour, Alex, but we got bio, reviews, blog website, local and national recognition. What was number 5?
Local and national recognition are 4 and 5.
Oh, 4 and 5. All right, cool.
Yeah, you
Fantastic.
should definitely make sure that your home and about page are clear, right? Like make sure that it explains exactly who it is. It's just making sure it's easy for the AI crawlers to pull your information because consumers, I'm telling you, they're using it. I was at Christmas this last year. My sister was talking about finding the Christmas tree that she wanted, and she was like, I went on ChatGPT to find it. There was a stat that I saw that said that 80% of buyers are using AI in their home search nowadays. So I'm telling you, if there's any one thing you should be focusing on, it should be this. Your number one most important thing to start that's free, that costs nothing, is getting your bio on every platform you possibly can think of.
I love it. There you go. So that was, I was just going to say, we're at the bottom of the hour. The question in the chat box from Anjanette was, what's a low cost thing to get started? He just said, number one, your bio unified consistently across all source platforms. This is the same basics that we used to talk about with, yeah, I've been a marketing and branding nerd forever, but brand consistency. This is just the AI digital version of brand consistency. Only it's a lot more effective because that was a slow long-term play. This is within 90 days, dude. This is wild what you've
I
generated.
will change something and I'll show up inside of 3, 4 days on AI with what I just did.
The speed at which you can implement this. And some of you who are here, like Yitz, who's sitting here quietly, like he does already have strong local, like just like you, Alex, you're voted, number one agent in Rochester multiple years in a row. Yitz is voted number one agent in New Braunfels and tech. So like if you have already started some of that in a more organic way, you just supercharge it with AI. All right, final thoughts before we wrap up, Alex.
It's done is better than perfect. Just start moving forward. That's the most important thing. Don't get too bogged down in trying to figure out at getting it perfect. Just start. Like get these things out there and you will slowly modify it and change it as you go.
I love it. We have a few folks who just joined us late. Go back and watch this replay. It'll be up on the Agent Collective website or on any podcast platform under Agent Power. It'll be up in the next, give us two, I think it's usually a day or two before it's posted. Alex, if people want to reach you, I mean, I know you genuinely love talking about this stuff. What's the best way for someone to reach out if they're like, hey, I got more questions. This is amazing. Like, what's the best way for them?
I'm easy to connect with on Facebook, honestly. You message me directly from there. I do answer my phone. I got a pretty full calendar right now. With everything going on in it's the residents found out where they matched on Friday, so we see a big influx of buyers in my market. I missed my haircut by like 10 days now. I can't seem to get in to get my hair.
All right, so I'm going to spell it for those of you listening. It's Alex, Alex. Last name is Mayer, Mayer. If you're looking him up on Facebook, Rochester, Minnesota. Dude, this rocked, Alex. Like this is,
And honestly, like this is the number one thing I think you could be doing for your business right now. It's like Netflix and Hulu. You're either Netflix or you're going to be fighting for second place. So get ahead of it as soon as you can.
you guys get that? Like now, like this is the time. Like make a commitment. Say, I'm going to focus on this for the next 90 days. And Alex, I mean,
I did it in 30 days, honestly, and then I just
okay, 30 days,
figure it out.
30 days. Thank you. This was exactly what I'd hope you do, Alex. This is incredible. I appreciate you just sharing so openly, man. This is great.
Happy to help. Good luck, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys. If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.